Chari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Vrajjana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajjana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravana Chari Yamuna Tiravana Chari Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jaya Srila Prabhupada Harinama Sankirtana ki Jai Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Hare Krishna. I welcome you all for ISKCON Seshadripuram daily Bhagavatam class, and today's verses 4th canto 11th chapter 31st verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Samyacha rosham badram te pratipam shreyasham param Srutena bhuyasa rajan agandena yata mayam samyacha rosham badram te pratipam shreyasam param Srutena bhuyaya rajan agadena yata mayam Samyacharosham Badram Te Pratipam Shreyasam Param Srutena Bhuyasya Rajan Agadena Yatamayam. Synonyms and translation by Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Samyacha, just control. Rosham, anger. Badram, all good fortune. Te, to you. Pratipam, enemy. Shreyasam, of all goodness. Param, the foremost. Shrutena, by hearing. Bhuyasa, constantly. Rajan, my dear king. Agadena, by medical treatment. Yata, as. Amayam, disease. Translation. My dear king, just consider what I have said to you, which will act as medical treatment upon disease. Control your anger, for anger is the foremost enemy on the path of spiritual realization. I wish all good fortune for you. Please follow my instructions. Purport. Dhuru Maharaja was liberated soul, and actually he was not angry with anyone. But because he was the ruler, it was his duty to become angry for some time in order to keep law and order in the state. His brother Uttama was without fault, yet he was killed by one of the yakshas. It was the duty of a Dhuru Maharaj to kill the offender life for life. because Dhruva was the king. When the challenge came, Dhruva Maharaj fought vehemently, vehemently and punished the Yakshas sufficiently. But anger is such that if one increases it, it increases unlimitedly. In order that Dhruva Maharaja kingly anger not exceed the limit. Manu was kind enough to check his grandson. Dhruva Maharaja could understand the purpose of his grandfather and he immediately stopped the fighting. The words Srutena, Srutena Bhuyasa by constantly hearing are very important in this verse. By constantly hearing about devotional service, one can check the force of anger, which is detrimental to the process of devotional service. Srila Parikshit Maharaja said that the constant hearing of the pastimes of the Lord is the panacea for all material diseases. Everyone, therefore, should hear about Supreme Personality of Godhead constantly. By hearing, one can always remain in equilibrium, and thus this progress in spiritual life will not be hampered. Dhruva Maharaja's becoming angry with the miscreants was quite appropriate. There is a short story in this connection about a snake who became a devotee upon instruction by Narada, who instructed him not to bite anymore. Since ordinarily a snake's business is to fatally bite other living entities, as a devotee he was forbidden to do so. Unfortunately, people took advantage of this non-violence on the part of the snake, especially the children who began to throw stones at him. He did not bite anyone, however, because it was the instruction of his spiritual master. After a while, when the snake met his spiritual master, Narada, he complained, I have given up the bad habit of biting innocent living entities, but they are mistreating me by throwing stones at me. Upon hearing this, Narada Muni instructed him, don't bite, but do not forget to expand your hood as if you are going to bite. Then they will go away. Similarly, a devotee is always non-violent. He is qualified with all good characteristics. But in the common world, when there is a mischief made by others, he should not forget to become angry, at least for the time being, in order to drive away the miscreants. So here the purport ends for 31st sloka. Om Jnana Timurandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Shashkurumitam Yena Tashmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stavitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadanti Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Jagrajatam Sana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sujivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sarana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishamanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyasya Upasindubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishnaprasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Astasya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna devotees. So here the verse clearly emphasizes more on anger. So, as we all know, this chapter, starts with mainly how Dhruva Maharaj so focused after all these austerities and penances, and then coming back and ruling the kingdom. Then, while ruling this kingdom, there is some untowards happened. His beloved brother, stepmother's son, being killed by one of the Yaksha. That being a Kshatriya, he could not tolerate. In my kingdom, how come it is happened that such an innocent person being killed? So this is the duty of a Kshatriya, should get into this. And the matter of duty is when he is getting into, he was so vigorous in dealing things with Yakshas, keep on killing, so many Yakshas. As we all know, the Yakshas are not demonic people. They are supporter of demigods and other Rishi Munis like that. So when such a position Yakshas are having, but Dhruva's anger could not stop by seeing this innocent brother being killed. And yes, obviously, it is a duty of a Kshatriya. And also our Acharyas advises, though he was liberated in a very tender age like 5, and also still he has got that tendency that me and I and me, like that bodily conception of life. So that is parallelly we should understand. Though whatever the progress we do in devotional service, still we are in that stage of we the body identity. Prabhupada gives this perfect example. Once one devotee was asking, Prabhupada, this Maya is very difficult to deal with. It is taking me away very on and off like that. The devotee was asking Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada immediately replied that we are always in Maya. Don't think that Maya sometimes comes and goes. So until we are in this Trigunya, until we are in this three guna mood, always we are in the Maya. When we move to Shuddha Sattva, we don't know that. So in that way, this flow of this particular chapter, King Uttanapada's regret, King Uttanapada's regret and joy. So Dhruva's father was deeply ashamed for neglecting his son. So these all are the little background how he has come back and ruling this, this royal kingdom. And then he joined all these things. So here the more emphasis is forgiveness. So keep on, he cannot kill Yakshas one by one like that. So how to forgive and then transform, and how to mainly control the anger is the very important point. So when we are not able to control our anger, it is really it's like a blazing fire or a forest fire. So let us understand from our scriptures and Srila Prabhupada. So what is the message from them, from the example of this purport? So there is a famous story of snake and Narada Muni. When one snake was keep on biting all the villagers or passerby in the street or a road, then Narada Muni instructed, as he being a devotee, you should not have that anger, and you should have some sattvic guna. All these things are okay, but after some time, Narada Muni came and saw that the entire villagers beaten this snake with stone, and they hurted, that particular snake. Then Narada Muni asking, that snake, why you are suffering like this? Then the snake answered that, as you suggested, I am I stopped, I changed my nature without biting anybody. Then Narada Muni recommended that I told you not to bite. At least your subhava is, to do hissing, whenever whoever is trying to hurt you like that. So the take-home message from this is the anger is not condemned. The anger should be regulated, or we should know where we should, use that the technique to prayoga. is a double-sided knife. So one should be skilled enough to get into this handling of this two-headed, knife. So in that situation, or the knife should be used for what purpose? To save the life. If you are a doctor, if you are a robber, or if you are a thief, what purpose we use that knife? We know better. So the point is here. The anger is it's like medicine. The purpose says it's like a medicine. So how to handle this as a devotee? Let us understand from Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, the key. Yeah. How to handle anger. So let us see how to handle. Like this snakes, past times we are understanding. Like Prabhupada says, see this anger is the mode of passion. Prabhupada mentions as per Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3 and verse 37. Prabhupada mentioned this anger is in the mode of rajasic. Krishna explains that anger arises when the mind is influenced by mode of passion, leading to a desire for sense gratification and attachment to material outcomes. So, without anger, how Arjuna could fight in the battlefield? In that mood, there he was not doing, he was not giving shatari to devotees in the battlefield. So, in the battlefield, Arjuna establishing a dharma within the mode of rajasic. So he takes the bow and arrow and pierce the opponent chest into carrying two into two pieces like that. So that is a what I can say, the anger is recommended. And also Srila Prabhupada explained that anger is a natural consequence of the material mind. So it's so naturally anybody can get into this anger, which is always looking for control, satisfaction, gratification. When things do not go as expected, anger arises. So that is the Prabhupada's guidance. When things are not going according to our own way of thinking, the anger arises. So okay, what is Prabhupada's guidance here? Like how Narada Muni guided this snake, how Prabhupada gives guidance to us here. To overcome anger, one must strive to rise above the influence of the modes of material nature. What are the modes of material nature? Goodness, passion, ignorance. As I told in the beginning, the Trigunya, that means three guna, Sattva, Rajo, Tamo guna. It is dominating our, whatever it may be, even Sattva guna also will arises to anger that I am very elevated devotee. I know so many slokas. I have been in this movement for so many years. So my austerity is very perfect, and I have been getting into this. So by cultivating the mode of goodness, Sattva Guna, through devotion to Krishna and the practice of chanting the Mahamantra. So keep on when we cultivate, when we move to Sattva Guna, or always we are in Sattva Guna. Even in Sattva Guna, there is a danger, right? The person may get pride for one little bit of pride that with my opulent things, my aristocratic family, or my wealthy family, or so-called materially educated family, or some name, fame I have attained. So all these things are the impediments in this three gunas: goodness, passion, and ignorance. So the devotee should know how to regulate all these things. So it is not condemned in Kali Yuga, whichever the guna, Sattva, Rajo, Tamo guna. But Prabhupada advises just divert that into Krishna consciousness. Or you do this prayoga on non-devotees to bring them into Krishna consciousness. And the second point Prabhupada mentions, practice of Krishna consciousness to calm the mind. So always Prabhupada emphasized to chant always the holy name. And frequently mentions, we should, by chanting is the most powerful tool for calming the mind and controlling unruly emotions, or agitated mind. When agitated, we cannot control. So what is his guidance from this point is, when you feel anger rising, take a moment to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. This acts as powerful spiritual tool to immediately relent realign your mind and consciousness with Krishna. Whenever you get this anger, take a moment. So that moment, that fraction will spoil our consciousness. So take a moment, break, deep breathe, and then get into devotional service. Then definitely we can see the result. Then third point, Prabhupada says, surrendering to Krishna and understanding the role of destiny. Prabhupada's guidance here, by understanding the laws of karma and the nature of Krishna's will, one can approach life's difficulties with a sense of surrender. Whatever it may be the difficulties, we need a surrender rather getting angry. Indirectly, we can understand that because we expressed our anger, we expressed our enviousness to the Lord. That is the reason we have taken a birth in this so-called modern era or this modern world. And when a situation arises that triggers anger, consider it as Krishna's test to purify you. And also, it is a test. Not only that we are what to say. This is a test from Krishna. So how we are keeping ourselves cool. Or this is a chance for us to purify. By seeing everything as an opportunity for spiritual growth, we can reduce anger and develop more peaceful attitude. It's very challenging. It's not that easy, right? At least for a fan, there is a regulator. So where is the regulator for devotees? Yes, we should get into our Acharya's footsteps. We should. I remember, Gaurav Kishore Babaji. So he always has the mood whenever he associates with non-devotees or whenever he associates with materialistic contaminated or those who are illusioned nature. He says that it is better to be there inside the toilet rather than having association with the materialistic contaminated or those who are in the illusion. So it's very eye opener for all the devotees. How materially we are infected, as rightly mentioned in the purport as well as in the translation. How highly we are infected with this disease. So that is the reason we are getting anger. So anger is not condemned, but it should be regulated. And then fourth point, Prabhupada says here, controlling anger by developing humility. Humility is the first step in the spiritual journey. To control anger, one must develop humility and tolerance. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Turnadapi Sunichena, Tarorapi Saishuna, Mamanina Manadena, Kirtanya Sadahari. So are we in that mood? Can we be like tolerance like a tree? Can we be flexible or humbler like a grass, right, on the street, like that? And then instead of reacting with anger to difficult situation, try to respond with understanding and compassion. So here it is mentioned that don't react, try to respond. Famous example in our ISKCON, so there is one example, where there is a soda can and there is a water bottle. So the soda can, you shake both, once one hand, you take soda and one hand you take, water. You shake both, right? What would be the, situation at the end? So the soda can will react and this water bottle will respond. So here it is mentioned that understanding and compassion like this water bottle rather than the soda can. Realizing that the challenges you face are helping you grow spiritually. So why you are getting anger? So because we can grow spiritually when we connect to Krishna consciousness. So avoiding the triggers of anger. It is another technique. It is like a prevention, right? Prabhupada also stressed the importance of good association, right? So good association, sadhu sangha. So it is recommended here. Avoid unnecessary arguments or confrontations that lead to anger. So where we will get, being a devotee, it is recommended that we should associate with the devotees. So more and more when we associate with the devotees, we will not feel that atmosphere like arguments or confrontations. Instead, surround yourself with devotees who are committed to Krishna consciousness, as the association will help you to remain peaceful and detached from the emotional disturbances of the material world. So definitely, we can feel the changes, whichever the level one progress, Kanishtathikari, Madhyamadhikari, or Uttamadhikari. So this is a see the Madhyamadhikari has got more this particular mood of patience. Uttamadhikari, we don't need to bother. Uttamadhikari already trans this particular level. They look at Samayojita Panditaha. Even the person who is doing all the miscreants, even the Chandala. So the Uttamadhikari has the acceptance. But being a Madhyamadhikari, they should have that preaching mood and regulate. So initially we are also exhibiting so many anarthas or some kind of me and I mindset. Like in the last class, last verse, 30th verse, it was mentioned. Everything is about Dhruva's mindset is me and I. Though he was so realized person in the very tender age, when he was ruling that kingdom, somewhere these impurities attached to him keep on killing yakshas. So that is being compared here to avoid the triggers of anger. That should be there. How to do that? By following all this. And the sixth point Prabhupada explains here, seeing everyone as servants of Krishna, then there is no problem at all. When we look at even in devotional service also, we may have some kind of enviousness. So Prabhupada says to divert that enviousness towards non-devotees to bring them, into God consciousness. And also here, this particular point says that see everyone as a servant of Krishna. Whichever the mood, they are also neophyte devotee. There is a Madhyamadhikari, there is a Uttamadhikari. It's all about how we keep our mood towards Dasanu Dasa. Hare Krishna. I will take quickly a moment, then I will come back. Hare Krishna. Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Mai ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai. So we are seeing, how the anger should be regulated. Here, Prabhupada recommends even develop a spirit of forgiveness. Right? This forgiveness quality is amazing. So only for Uttamadhikari it comes. Knowing that everyone is on their own path and life, and like yourself, is ultimately seeking to return to Krishna. So I remember one of the first times, from Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Nityananda Prabhu going for preaching, Jagai Madai, we all know. Then how foolishly, how they have beaten Nityananda Prabhu, and then Mahaprabhu came and then he took his chakra to punish all these offenders in this Kali Yuga. Then Nityananda Prabhu requested, in Kali Yuga nobody will survive if you want to punish those who are miscreants or those who are having anarthas. Then because of that mercy only, our survival is going on. Only for what? Only for giving some period for us to purify. See, this entire Kali Yuga being given, designed so mercifully for our purification. If we are not making use of this advantage, then there is no point in the mercy, that daya. Right? One can come out of this anger only from the daya of Acharya and Krishna, knowing that everyone is on their own path. In Kali Yuga, everybody Kali Sudra Sambhavaha, everybody in their own way of whimsically pursuing the things. Nobody coming closer to the Shastra and applying into the reality. Everybody speaks theoretically and having so much of philosopher and debate show, like how Prabhupada is so prominent in this Kali Yuga, spreading of God consciousness all over the world, because what he practiced, he preached. And also he followed the scripture sincerely. He never said, according to me. He said always according to the Shastra. But that guna is missing in this Kali Yuga. Always we keep I as a center. That is the problem with even in a that is an impediment in the path of spiritual journey also. And then the seventh point, Prabhupada brings out anger as a tool for self-examination. How come anger as a tool for self-examination? Here, when anger arises, take a moment to reflect on the deeper reasons behind the emotion. So take a time, why am I getting this mood? Self-examination helps to identify spiritual weaknesses. So we should have that realization. So what is my objective? What is my goal? Why am I behaving like this? Why my thought process is like that? And through devotional service, we can work to purify these tendencies. So why very often I'm getting this emotional quotient. This emotional quotient is very dangerous. So it reduces our success rate. It reduces our pleasant mindset. That is the point here. And Prabhupada brings out karma and anger. What is this karma and anger? By practicing Krishna consciousness and performing devotional service, we can purify our hearts from negative karmic impressions and reduce the tendency for anger and frustration. So, for example, in ISKCON we can find various devotees from various backgrounds, right? But still, that little bit of the sting of vasana will be there. So, I have been used to exhibit like that, and that how to purify that. Prabhupada gives this answer. Gradually one can come out from the karmic effects, right? Yes. So this karmic effect will lead us to get anger very soon. But there should be wisdom for the detachment. Bhagavad Gita says, you detach from this material world and attach to spiritual world. Is it happening? Yes, it will happen over here. What to say? How sincere we are towards this, following the footpath of our acharyas and scriptures. Release the burden of past karma and move towards spiritual liberation. So, regular chanting and association with the devotees is the solution to release the burden of past karma. So, Prabhupada says, when you do chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. So, all our previous karma be vanished. How you clap in the mass of birds or a pigeon crowd, then immediately it vanishes. So like that, in Kali Yuga, Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam, Hello, Nastyeva, Kadiranya. So you think, with your deeper consciousness or neurons or whatever the scientific or artificial intelligence or whatever the technology teaches us today or whatever. But the scripture says how you deeper into this Krishna consciousness, then automatically one can regulate this anger. As a concluding message from Prabhupada, Prabhupada gives the message here. Anger is understood as a natural but destructive emotion that can be controlled through the practice of Krishna consciousness. So no other alternate other than practicing Krishna consciousness to control the anger. Some people may ask, Prabhu, have you ever got angry? No, but in front of devotees, we put one mask. We behave. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, my chanting is not. All these things are good until when we have association with the devotees. The real face we will know. You ask your wife, you ask your loved ones, they will tell, how, our, the mood towards when difficult situations are like that. And here it is mentioned, Srila Prabhupada constantly emphasized that the key to handle anger is to cultivate humility, practice devotional service, and chant the holy names of Krishna. By surrendering to Krishna, understanding the illusionary nature of the material world. So, how much we surrender, that much Lord also reveal. Till that time, that the cataract will be there. Our vision will be imperfect. So, adopting an attitude of tolerance and forgiveness. So do we have this attitude of tolerance and forgiveness, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in Chaitanya Charitamrita? One can gradually overcome anger and attain inner peace. Right? So, there in Srimad Bhagavatam, there are so many examples of the anger being destructed. Even in Ramayana, Ravana's anger, but this anger should be used in Krishna consciousness. But how Hanuman expressed his anger, how Ravana expressed his anger, he expressed against Rama. He expressed against his own brother. That is the position of a Ravana. Maya, Apagrata, Jnana. So when the person who is in illusion, Lord's illusionary energy, then their jnana will be stolen, taken away. That is the reason we always, seek the mercy of senior Vaishnavas whenever we look at, any scripture, whenever we look at any sadhus, whenever, we deviate from our Guru Parampara's instruction, we should be very carefully aligned with Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. When we keep these 3 points in our minds, all these impediments, all these challenges will be gradually, removed, from the path. Let us take some quotes from Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita deals, anger as a product of the mode of passion. And Bhagavad Gita says 3.337. It is desire and anger which are born of the mode of passion and which are the all devouring sinful enemies of the world. Right? This is being compared with sinful enemies of the world. They are the cause of our bondage. Like in previous sloka, it is mentioned, I. No, I am not. I means I am not this body. I am the spiritual part and parcel of the Lord. One devotee was asking Prabhupada, always in every sloka you are telling that you are not the body, you are the spirit soul. Like the Prabhupada immediately asked, have you come to that stage like that? Then the devotee suddenly, blinking his eyes. Yes. So it's very important to notice. We can speak, keep on. But do we have the determination? For that, we need all this determination. What is this determination? Many doctors knows every day. Doctors advise us don't take liquor to his patients. Don't take cigarette. But in the break time of any big hospital, the doctors only coming out and smokes. These all are mismatches we can see in the Kali Yuga. And there are 3 gates according to Bhagavad Gita 16.21. Right, this destructive nature of anger. Here it is mentioned. The quote from Bhagavad Gita. There are 3 gates leading to this hell: lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man should give these up, for they lead to the degradation of the soul. Lust, anger, and greed. So this level also we should understand. Lust means what? Kama. Anything is material, it is identified as a kama. So always we should think in the soul perception. Do we arrive? It's a question mark for everyone. But with regulated, practice, definitely one can come to the stage of overcoming less anger and greed. And from 16.3, fearlessness purity of heart, tolerance, compassion, simplicity, self-control, and sense of contentment. These are the qualities of a person who is on the spiritual path. I am repeating 16.3 Bhagavad Gita. Fearlessness, purity of heart, tolerance, compassion, simplicity, self-control, sense of contentment. And also recently I read Prabhupada daily quote. Whether success or failure, leave it to Krishna. Even in spiritual journey, leave it to Krishna. He will assess. We don't have any rights to take the assessment on them. He had given the formula to us. Let us apply that formula and go ahead. Right? If there is anything wrong, let us try to correct. Krishna will give that mercy. Krishna will send some senior devotee to correct us. That should be the mood. And then Bhagavad Gita 2.6263. When a person dwells on the objects of sense gratification, attachment to those objects develops, and from such attachment, lust develops. From lust, anger arises. So we can understand the root cause of the anger, then easily we can work out on that. There is a mechanism. So anger in between lust and greedy. So we should be very careful. So we should know how to handle the horse. The horse may bite, the horse may kick. So this is lust and greed. So this anger is in between. So how to handle this, or this hierarchy is from lust, anger arises, and from anger, confusion of memory. So this is the technicality to understand what exactly this anger is. Okay. How to control anger? Let us ask from Bhagavad Gita 9.14. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with determination, going down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So here formula being given from Bhagavad Gita. So anger, anger, anger. Don't run behind. Don't. Let us get into do's. What is this do's? There is a formula from 9.14. Always chanting my glories. Shravanam and Kirtanam. Endeavoring with determination. So do we have the determination? Going down before me. That is surrendering. These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Here is the secret. This is the formula from 9.14, how to come out of anger. Then the transcendental state is freedom from anger. So we can understand the next level of this anger also. Bhagavad Gita 14.22 to 25, it deals with a person who is unaffected by the modes of material nature, who neither rejoices nor laments, who is free from anger and greed, and who sees all living beings with equal vision, is said to have transcend the modes of material nature. This is the 14th chapter, 22 to 25. And also, the second chapter, if you take the summary of Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, very nicely it is being designed. The different stages I will tell, for better understanding of second chapter Bhagavad Gita, which will give the perfect assessment for a devotee to understand what is my level of progress. Initially, the stage of Arjuna is in the lamenting stage. We are in the duality, good or right, and the body or the soul, all this, anger and all these things is a problem. Then slowly he is migrating into Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga means, as we discussed, why am I getting angry, why am I, suffering, why am I lamenting, all those things. Then once this Jnana comes, as I mentioned, from lust, anger arises. These are the things called it as Jnana. Then after the Jnana, then I have to get into Karma Yoga. Which Karma Yoga? There are three karma. Karma, that means Punya Karma, and then Vikarma, and then Akarma. Vikarma means against the Shastra, and Akarma means as per the Shastra. So then we get into Karma. Then after Karma, then there is a Buddhi Yoga. So Buddhi Yoga means Nishkama Karma. That means the Karma being purified. But Buddhi Yoga teaches us I am a servant of the servant of the servant. I don't have any credit to take it. Then when I come to this fourth stage of Buddhi Yoga, then automatically I will become trance, or I will get into Samadhi, or I will get into Sthita Prajna. That Sthita Prajna stage is like Uttamadhikari. So they don't have any personal ambition towards all these things. They have only what to say, the mood of gratitude to Krishna. Finally, the conclusion is how to handle anger according to Bhagavad Gita. So there are 3 points. With these 3 points, I will conclude today's session. The anger arises from attachment to the material world and unfulfilled desires. So from, as we discussed, that lust. The lust creates unfulfilled, or the material desires creates this anger. Then Krishna consciousness, the second point, Krishna consciousness, particularly through chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, meditation on the divine form of Krishna, and developing qualities like tolerance, humility, self-restraint, helps devotees transcend the influence of anger. Yes, anger arises, but where you should divert that? Prabhupada says, use for non-devotees, right, to bring them into Krishna consciousness, all our enviousness or even anger. Until bringing devotees to Krishna consciousness, don't sleep. Srila Prabhupada, or our purification, until our sadhana and seva, like my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj always says, you hit the bed, with totally exhausted, physically. Use your conscious, your bodily actions into Krishna consciousness. One can attain peaceful mind that is free from anger and other emotional disturbances. Prabhupada teaches constantly engaging in devotional service. So that is the important matter. As I mentioned, my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj, he says in many occasions about the anger. So he says, anger is natural emotion, but should be controlled. So anger is there, like Prabhupada said, we are always in Maya. Until we are in Maya, we cannot avoid anger. So, my Guru Maharaj mentions here, Krishna consciousness provides a higher perspective on life, which helps to reduce attachment to material outcomes and extension. Anger. Devotees are encountered to see the divine hand of Krishna in all situations, both good and bad, which helps in dealing with provocations calmly. This is a message from His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj. And then seeing the bigger picture, he gives, and then anger is a reflection of inner weakness. He says, it's a weakness. And then developing humility. And then practical tips, dealing with the anger. Right? Pause and chant. Associate with the devotees. Reflect on the transience of material life. So he's concluding that chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra and developing qualities like tolerance, humility, and detachment, and the devotee can gradually overcome the negative impact of anger. So he sees in a different way. With anger, there is a negative impact also. With anger, there is a positive impact also. So when you use this anger like Hanuman, to burn the Lanka, then it is recommended. Or if you use like Duryodhana, if you use like, Ravana, Kamsa, then that anger does not have any value for them, only negative impact only. So can be transformed into source of spiritual growth. That anger should bring out spiritual growth if we approach it with Krishna consciousness mindset. So, Guru Maharaj ki jai. So here I'd like to stop for today's details. How Guru Maharaj being advised by Manu from this 31st sloka, don't get angry. From 30th sloka, don't have the bodily conception that I, me, like that, and leave the result to God, then automatically regulate your anger by our acharyas and from our scriptures, whatever it is mentioned. So here I'd like to stop today's discussion. If I deviated somewhere, or if anybody would like to share something, or if there are any questions, you are welcome. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Is there any questions or comments? Otherwise, thanks for the opportunity. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Tantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.